Welcome to my mini workshop series here with Amanda Hall Psychic here live on Facebook on a Wednesday afternoon, directly after my show out of the US of A on A1R Psychic Radio over on Moonstruck TV. Well, I'm excited to say we're up to workshop number 23, and this week we're going to be working with the full moon in Aquarius. So let's get some T's and C's out of the road before we start. My name's Amanda Hall Psychic. This is a mini workshop series where we focus on what's happening around the universe, but we also weave it into a mini workshop using my soy candles, and we focus on a different subject each week. I do not perform free readings in this segment. It's a teaching segment only. I'm not going to be giving a shout out to everybody that's watching with us, but what I will do, if you want to pop a little message in the comments section there, I will personally respond to you in the next 48 hours, and I really do welcome you wherever you're watching us from around the world. And we've had people joining us from all over the place, the UK, America, weekly, and sort of some tremendous feedback since we started this series of people saying that they're really loving and understanding astrology a lot more, where they always felt it was complicated and out of their realms of understanding, of being able to understand what astrology is about. And that's mainly what my objective is to teach you something that you may not necessarily have wanted to go and look and explore because it all seemed too difficult or too hard. But we also work within these mini workshops. We work with the full moon every month, and we also work with the new moon of the month as well, so that you get to understand how each month, when the full moon changes the energy astrologically, how it can affect us in a different sort of way, why we have different sorts of emotions, or we experience different things, or we get more cranky or get more tired, or we're happier, or we want to explore the world more, or whatever the case may be. It does depend on where the actual moon is sitting, in what sign it's sitting in. So I hope you're going to kick back and enjoy what we've got to share with you over the next 15-20 minutes. As I said, my name's Amanda Hall. I've been in the psychic industry here in Australia for over 40 years. I have been inducted into the Psychic Hall of Fame here, and I've been voted the Psychic of the Year for the 4th year in a row. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank everybody that supported my extensive career. I wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for you guys. It's your belief in what I do and how I do it. And I've always been very straight to the point. And I suppose a lot of people found that probably a little bit intimidating when I first started, but that's who I am, and that's how I've managed to carve out such longevity, I believe, in my career, is because I didn't tell things that weren't as they were. It may not have always been probably the best delivery in the way that I am so straight to the point, but at least there was no mistaking the information that I was sharing with you. So what is a full moon? Now, when the moon becomes full and we can walk outside of a night and we can see the moon is very full, sometimes it looks happy, sometimes it looks sad, sometimes it has a ring around it. It's a time of the month where we're supposed to release all that we've gathered, all the emotions, the things that no longer serve us in our life. It's now the time to release. Now, how I like to work with a full moon is I look at 2 days on the approach, which would be from the 24th, which was yesterday, looking for 2 days on the approach, 3 days of the full moon, even though the moon is only full for 2.5 days, let's say 3 days to be on the safe side, and then 2 days on the decline. So I work on a 7-day cycle with a full moon or a new moon. And that just allows us, because a lot of people say to me, you know, I'm starting to already feel the effects of the full moon, Amanda, and I know it's nearly a week away. Why is it starting to affect me now? Well, because as we become more sensitive and open ourselves up to energy, and it's energy that makes the world go round. I know people say money makes the world go round, but money is only an energy after all. But it's energy that makes the world go round. And as we start to become more aware and more open and working with our energies, we start to feel things and sense things and know things a lot earlier than what we would have done before we started to do this. So this is why you can start to, I think, tap into at least a full moon at least 7 days beforehand, sometimes even a little bit longer. It's almost like we leave the new moon cycle, we have 48 hours, and then we're into the full moon cycle. That's almost how it feels, and vice versa. So it's about understanding your own emotions and not allowing them to so much control you, but work with them. If you can imagine yourself to be like a log, you're in a creek, you're in a river, and you're just flowing. You're just going with the flow of the water. Well, that's how I want you to be with your emotions. You can't control how a log floats down a river. You can try, but eventually it will just get back into the flow of going with the flow of the current. And that's what we need to do emotionally. So the full moon in Aquarius is an ambiguous sort of full moon, because the Aquarian energy likes to be about, I'm emotionally detached, I'm in control, I don't let anybody else dominate or control my thoughts, I'm always the boss, I know everything. So why would I even consider that emotions are going to play a role in my life? That just doesn't compute in my brain or in my emotional well-being. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. That's the face or the mask that they put onto the outside world. But the Aquarian moon, and it's anybody that has the moon in Aquarius, or for all of us now, we're going to be affected by the full moon in Aquarius. We know very differently. We might be telling the world that we're okay, everything's great, I'm putting on a stiff face, I'm putting on a happy face, but inside I feel very different. And I know in the last 48 hours, I've had so many messages and phone calls and personal messages and things like that. And people saying to me, Amanda, what on earth is going on? Is it all these retrograde planets that I'm reading about? No, it is partly that, but it's more to do the effects, I think, of the full moon looming up, because the Aquarian energy, as I said, is emotionally detached on the outside, but on the inside, it's marshmallow and it's great turmoil, and it's like the emotions are just sort of jumping a merry dance all over the place, and it's like I can't seem to control them. I can't sort of get a handle on them, and we're not meant to get a handle on them. That's the thing, we're not meant to. So if we were going to start working with the full moon energy, what we would be doing would be getting a list, starting to write a list of the things that you want to release. Now, I know for me in this last month, where I've had most of the month off with laryngitis, I've had plenty of time to watch DVDs and basically do nothing, that I've been writing things down on my little notepad of my list of the things that I want to emotionally let go of. And I'm going to share this with you because it may strike a chord with some of you, but in the time that I've been sick and sleeping a lot, I've had some very peculiar dreams, and I'm not a dreamer. I'm not somebody that dreams proficient dreams all the time. I tend to get my dreams when I'm awake, as in the forms of visions, but not of a night when I go to sleep. And I've had dreams that have been peculiar, that have taken me back to areas of my life that are 30, 40, 50 years ago, things that happened recently, and some of the things have been all confused and jumbled up and whatevers, and some of them have made sense and some haven't. But what I've taken from those as they sort of happened, I jot something down on the notepad that, maybe I still need to release XYZ that happened 40 years ago, where I thought I dealt with that or I had released it. Why is it coming back into the unconscious part of my mind to the conscious part to be released? So I've got this extensive list of things I'm letting go of this month. And I think it's probably the perfect time, because I'm letting go of them in the mind, even though the rational mind says, let's analyze this and let's try and find some answers in all this. I suppose my silly part of my mind, or my emotional self, says, why do we need to bother? It's come to the surface, write down the headline, and let's just release it. Because, releasing things doesn't always come in a very Virgo way, sort of where everything's organized and neat and tidy and precise and it's perfect. It sometimes comes in a very distorted, peculiar sort of way. It's the headline that we've got to release. It's not all the other bits and pieces that are attached to it, because something that might have happened 40 years ago, I don't know about you, but my memory is not exactly crystal clear about events that happened 40 years ago, and do I really want to go back and relive that? But if I take that headline and write it down and say, okay, well, let's give it the final heave-ho with this particular moon, maybe that's all it's asking of me. So maybe that may be of help to you. So I've been certainly lighting my full moon candle. So with my extra large candles, they do have dual wicks in them. I suggest to you that if you want to light both wicks at a time, that's fine. But bear in mind, the glass containers can get hot. And if you're in a place where the climate's changing, temperatures are dropping and going up and down, sometimes the glass containers can crack. I also think you get longer burn time if you burn one side of the wick one day and then the other side the next day. That's just the way that I like to work with them. And also bearing in mind that the actual soy wax doesn't get hot, but the glass container can get very hot. So for that reason, we always put a glass container on a coaster. So we write our list of what we want to release for the full moon. We place it underneath and place it on the coaster. We might have already read the list out aloud as we're going to light the candle, and then place it underneath the candle and then light the candle. We've already read it out aloud. And we do that with our full moon candle, but also if you have an air sign candle which represents the Aquarian energy, you can do exactly the same thing again with that. They again, of course, have the dual wick system. So that's what I would be doing. I've been lighting my Aquarian candle and my full moon candle, and I have those going on my dining room table where I work most of the time. Never leave a candle unattended. I always like to sit with my candles. There's been too many disasters recently where people have had houses go up on flames because of leaving candles unattended. I've always been in the rule of, if I'm not in the room with the candle, it gets blown out, and I don't leave one unattended. For those of you that might want a smaller travel pack, this is the travel pack. This week I've put the 2 full moon candles in either side, and I've put the air sign candle in the middle, the Aquarian candle. These burn for about 15 minutes. Same rules apply. Always put them on a coaster. Only 1 wick with these. You'll get about 15-hour burn time out of those. For those of you that may not want to work with a flame, you can work with a melt warmer. You can pick these up at the supermarket here in Australia, under $20. They are electric. They have a little button on the side that you can turn them on and off. How I work with these, and particularly say with a full moon, I would take about half a teaspoon of wax, soy wax, out of my candle, of each of the candles, and mix them together in my melt warmer. And that's what I've got going at the moment, is half a teaspoon of the full moon and half a teaspoon of the Aquarian wax together. And that's how I burn those. It's the same rules apply. Write your list out, read it out aloud, place it underneath your coaster before you put your melt warmer on, and, you know, turn it on. You can leave that going safely as you're wandering around your day, because, you know, and just make sure that you turn it off of a night, because that's what they're designed for, is to sort of send the fragrance throughout the house without the flame. And they do work equally as well. And, you know, there's times where even if you are burning a candle, you get a little bit of wax left over in the bottom of the candle. You're quite happy to put that in the melt warmer. Or, as I said, take it out of there and don't burn your candle. It's entirely your choice. So we all need to be very aware of the things that are changing in our lives at the moment with the full moon. It will be a time of, you know, seesawing emotions, and probably more seesawing than what we noticed last month, where things were a little bit more stable last month with the full moon in Capricorn. But this one's going to be, you know, all of a sudden I feel very much in control, and then all of a sudden I feel like I'm falling apart at the seams. So just be very aware of that. I'd like to quickly touch on the retrograde planets, because I've had so many people questioning, sending me messages and asking me how this affects me. Look, there's been so much stuff on social media about it. To explain a retrograde planet is like this. A planet is seemingly going backwards in the universe. Now, it doesn't change the energy of the planet. It doesn't all of a sudden make it more magical or more destructive. All as it does is it's a time of contemplation for the planet. It's like if I stand you on your head, and I stand you on your head for a couple of minutes, then I turn you upright. You're a bit lightheaded. You've got to sort of get your bearings. You've got to sort of stop and think and regather your momentum before you sort of get up and walk away or go on to your next task. Well, it's a bit the same for the planets. So at the moment, we have the planet Saturn, which is the planet of discipline. We have Pluto, which is the planet of transformation. We have Mars, the planet of action. We also have Neptune, the planet of illusion and delusion. We also have, if you want to class it as a planet, which I don't, is Chiron, the wounded healer. And this is where we look for what we need to fix in our lives on a karmic level, what we've brought in from a past life where we need to do the most healing. And then later this week on the 26th, which is probably today, we have Mercury turning retrograde and going into his second retrograde phase for the year until the 4th of August. So what this is sort of asking us to do is just chill out, is just go with the flow. Don't sort of try and set anything new in motion at the moment. Everything that you attempt to do at the moment will probably have to be redone, or parts of it will have to be redone, because things will happen that'll change, or you'll have a different perspective. But I think it's also asking you to look at what needs to be changed or sorted out in your life. It's asking you to sort of set down your new goals, your new belief systems, the things that you want to work with, the things that are important to you. Many of us have had massive changes in 2018, where it's been a year of really readjusting our thinking, readjusting what's important to us in our lives. I know many people have started new jobs. Other people have looked at how they have reorganized their lives, and their value systems have changed. Some people have gone back to basics. Some people have eliminated things that they see that are no longer necessary. People are trying to get back to a simpler place in their life where they felt secure and they felt humble and they were in charge. And And, you know, it could be just something simple that you've changed in your life. For the first time in your life, you've got into recycling, or, you know, getting used to, here in Queensland, you know, no plastic shopping bags and having to remember to take your own. You know, they're all changes that are being thrust upon us, but it's changes that we're being asked to instigate for ourselves. And I know that there's been many people this year that have said to me, I just want to get back to a life that's more simple, Amanda. I'm sick of all the stress and the pressure and the constantly being like the cat chasing its tail and working all the hours that God sends me so that I can have a bigger car and a better house and another overseas trip. I don't feel that that's important to me anymore. All I want to do is stop, slow down and enjoy my family and smell the coffee. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with turning around and saying, "Wow, hang on a minute, let me get off this merry-go-round and I need to find things can be a lot simpler." We all got on this treadmill of needing all these possessions. And I suppose this is part of the minimalistic thing too, where people are not having as many possessions around them anymore to make them feel secure, where other people like to have eclectic mixtures of possessions and collections that makes them happy. So there's no one size fits all. So I think if you can take that into the next couple of weeks, and particularly this next week with the full moon in Aquarius, that we're being asked to just honor ourselves, but also look at, with these retrograde planets, it's a good time to sort of sit back and just take stock. Have a good look around your home, have a good look around your life and see what are the things that you're not happy with. And is there some way that you can slowly start to make changes with these and bring your life back into a balance that suits you? I know for me, the big epiphany moment while I was off work with no voice was the fact that maybe, just maybe, I need to slow down a little bit. You know, I don't have to go at such a breakneck pace all the time, that I can actually sort of, you know, I keep telling myself that I'm not going to work as hard, and I say that, and then the next minute I've decided I'm going to take on another 10 projects. But I feel now, for the second time in 6 months losing my voice, that maybe the universe is sending me a message that I spend far too much time talking, and maybe I need to do a little bit more listening and relaxing and unwinding and getting back into nature. And that's what I'm endeavoring to do, is to sort of be more critical about how I spend my time, you know, stick to my work schedule and not go out of that. I mean, I tend to be like a lot of other people. I feel that you need to be there to help everybody all the time. Well, you don't. Even doctors and dentists and solicitors have downtime. They have their set working hours, and you have to comply and fit in with those. So that's my journey. And maybe that strikes a chord with somebody that's listening in and watching in too, that, you know, that's maybe what they need to be doing, is looking at being more critical and more mindful of that they deserve to have some downtime too, and some time in nature. But it's going to be certainly a very exciting time as we head towards the end of 2018. I think each year has its own theme, and this year to me has been about reorganizing our value systems. What is important to us? What can we let go of? What are we needing to sort of say, oh, hang on a minute, I don't believe in that anymore, or that no longer serves me. I can give that the chop, and I don't necessarily need to replace it with anything. I can just prune everything back to bare basics in my life, where I find a place of peace and happiness. So before we wrap up the show, I'd like to sort of invite you, if you want to book a reading with me, you can head to my website, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au. If you type in the coupon box Facebook in capital letters, you will get a discount on any of our readings or services over at my website. If you want to catch up on some of the previous workshops and my show on A1R Psychic Radio, I do have a designated page set up on Facebook for that, where you can binge watch all the previous episodes. They're all in one location. Everything will be uploaded from this week's there in the next 48 hours. So until we meet again next week, I want you to be kind to each other. Just work through the full moon as it unfolds for you in whatever way that it personally is going to affect you. And know that there really is nothing we do that is a mistake. It's just how we handle the situation at that time. We always make the very, very, very best decision or choice that we can at that given moment with the information at hand. So therefore, we never make a mistake. We might, in hindsight, think, gee, if I'd had more information, I would have come to a different conclusion. But at the time, that was the best decision that I could make. So happy full moon. Until next week, enjoy the Aquarian energy. And next week we'll be working with the sun in Leo, and I can't wait. It's an exciting time of the year. I love it when the energy's in fire signs. Bye for now.